Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode 2 of the Spuds Up. I said Spuds Up of the Studs Up podcast. I'll try and get the name of my own freaking podcast right for next time.
Who doesn't love a spud?
We should have called this podcast Spuds Up. And it could have just been about
Do
eating
they have
potatoes.
spuds in Stoke?
I don't know, but they couldn't do it on a rainy day. I'll give you that much for free. And we're not talking about Rooney being the spud. No, we are talking about the Studs Up podcast. I've said it enough times now to make myself feel better. I am Garfield with my co-host here, Simon Says.
Yeah.
We have just actually launched our website as of today, so hopefully when you hear this, you'll be able to log onto the website. It is www.studsup-football.com, or you can YouTube us. Just type in Studs Up EPL podcast. It'll come straight up, the first link. You can also find us on Facebook. Just type in Studs Up. Hopefully, we'll be the first one there, and we would really appreciate your likes, because we like you, and we like that you listen.
The Studs Up podcast.
So, without further ado, big round this week in the EPL.
It was. I know we were really awkward about it last week because I didn't want to talk about it, but Liverpool-Tottenham, or Tottenham-Liverpool,
the game of the round.
Since we were at White Hart Lane. Yeah, look, I just want to put it out there straight away that you tipped Tottenham. That didn't happen. So that is a precursor. That is precursor. Look, I tipped Liverpool out of love and not out of... I did say, though, that I believed it would be a draw, but that's neither here nor there. I did tip them as a winner, and that didn't happen. So both teams weren't good enough. That's the honest truth. In front of goal, they were both profligate. I felt that Harry Kane in particular was woeful.
Mate.
He was difficult to watch.
What was his pass completion rate? 31%? Something like that?
Honestly, it was, like Ade Akinbaye. Now, how's that for a flashback?
There's a great reference, yeah.
That's a great reference.
Normally, the greatest thing about Harry Kane is his ability to link the attack with the midfield. If he doesn't have that in his repertoire, he's basically a Defoe that can't score.
Look, I was trying to notice in particular whether or not Dele Alli was at fault this time around, because I thought maybe I didn't pay enough attention.
Well, definitely Lamela had a terrible game.
Yeah, Lamela had an awful game.
So did Eriksen.
Yep. Okay, so that's actually kind of the point here, isn't it? In looking at the media, I think they were all very focused on Eriksen more so than Kane. That could be because they don't want to sacrifice England boy wonder Harry Kane. But I do kind of agree. Once Eriksen is off in that team, he is that transition between midfield and strikers.
Absolutely.
And I think that, both Jansen and Kane are always going to struggle more if he's not happening. I think Dele Alli is that bit of a flair player that's going to contribute with goals when and however he does, but more so this is going to be more centred on what Christian Eriksen does, and I think he didn't play well. Liverpool marked him pretty well, but this had more to do with him playing badly.
He's just out of form at the moment.
Absolutely. I just think that this is going to be a tough road for both sides. Having seen that match and obviously paying quite a lot of attention to it, given my affinity for Liverpool, all I could see was that we're not quite there yet. There's a lot more we need to do. There's a polish that was clearly lacking. We were a matte finish, not a polished finish.
But I still think, though, having said that, and while I agree with you about Liverpool, I think there's a lot more room for growth in that Tottenham team. We saw them last year, for example. When they're firing, there's few better teams in the league.
Well, let me ask you this. Are they a team that maybe overachieved last season and perhaps that raised expectations unnecessarily and unrealistically for the beginning of this season? Because let's not forget, they started quite poorly last season and then they really built up a head of steam. This season, again, they're trying to find their form as the team is still growing. I just think that they went on such a good run that they're a victim of their own success in that regard. There needs to be a recognition of the fact that this is a much tougher league this year. Tougher.
That's what I would come back to. Having said, have they overachieved? I would say no. Has the league improved enough that it's going to look like last year they overachieved? Absolutely.
That's interesting. Okay.
Do you see what I mean? Like the rest of the league's teams have improved so much that they're going to dwarf Tottenham this year. But it won't be Tottenham underachieving. They're achieving exactly what they're going to have achieved last year, but with Manchester United back, but with Man City back, but with Chelsea back in the picture. Can they finish second, third?
Well, Chelsea in particular, because that was someone who wasn't even in the ball game last time around. So they've at least got one more rival who is technically better than them.
Absolutely.
And more accomplished and with arguably a much better fit of a manager.
And the
this
two
season.
clubs with the biggest spending power with arguably the two best managers in the world.
Who have bought very well.
Who have bought insanely well.
So, yeah, my conclusion for the Tottenham-Liverpool match is that both teams need to be really, really wary this season. And ultimately, a draw was a better result for Tottenham than it was for Liverpool. Tottenham remain in, what are they, 6th or 7th place
somewhere
in the
around
league?
there. I mean, it's early days.
No, it's absolutely early days. They're in 6th position, 5 points. It's only on goal difference to Middlesbrough that they're in that position. So I would have to say that it's early season. A draw was a fair result, even though I felt Liverpool dominated. They were not clinical in attack. And we can argue about the Jan Vertonghen potential penalty on Joel Matip, but I think that's a senseless pursuit. There's no reason to even argue it. Liverpool weren't good enough. If Coutinho had finished his 2 chances, the game would have been a long way over. It would have been 3-0.
That save with the feet from Vorm. Oh, yeah. Beautiful stuff.
Absolutely. Vorm had a terrific match, and
Fantastic.
I think he was their player of the game.
Yeah,
he might have even been man of the match in general. So.
Yeah. No, I tend to agree. Well, I'm just going to revisit here Chelsea for a second that you were talking about. They really have improved. They're the team that's kind of we're looking out for them. I think every team in the league was thinking, how good can Chelsea be?
Yeah.
From 1st to 11th, there's clearly a mean in there. They've got to come back up to at least 5th.
Yeah, after the fall of the Tsars has now come the Russian Revolution.
Well, the Italian Revolution and now, with Conte.
They've joined forces with the Italians.
They have. So 3-0 against Burnley. I don't know if you watched a lot of that game. Oh,
I did.
Eden Hazard.
And it was beautiful.
Yikes!
It was beautiful, and that
He's
hurts me to say
form.
because I don't like Chelsea, but hard to argue. I mean, Hazard on form.
Best in
a
the
good
league.
Hazard is a good Chelsea. It's as simple as that.
Best in the league.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I actually read a great statistic that under the last year with Mourinho, he was shooting 1.2 times per game. In the first 3 matches of this season, 4.7 shots per game.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That is a player that's been left off the leash, no defensive responsibility. Son, get out there. I agree with you. Son, get out there, score some goals, get some assists, be the playmaker that we know you can be. Win us a league.
Hearts.
Yeah, win us a league.
Yeah.
That is how good he is. He could single-handedly drag a team kicking and screaming to a league title.
Those brilliant moments that only he can do. I genuinely agree with you. I think that he's very dangerous. He's very dangerous. I mean, Willian is a consistent performer for them as well and had a good match, absolutely.
Yeah, very good player.
But I have to say that the unsung hero of that match was N'Golo Kante. We talked about him last week and how much Leicester miss him.
Yeah.
My goodness, he's a good player.
He is a beast.
I'm
going to make a comparison.
Yeah.
Roy Keane.
Oh, look, absolutely. I mean, I would even go as far to say Makelele. I know Makelele
definitely.
is the definitive defensive midfielder of the modern era, but Kante is very close.
I actually think Kante's got more in his locker, though, than Makelele had.
Yeah, look, he's so fit.
Yes, it's amazing.
And something that's really bizarre, have you seen how he rates on the tackles list? I mean, it's so clean. He has almost no yellow cards to his name, very few for a defensive midfielder.
Absolutely.
Who's meant to be an enforcer. Perhaps the fact that it was Burnley's attack made him look just a little bit better, but my goodness, he is a savage beast. He is amazing. And I genuinely think that as we can say all we want about Hazard,
Absolutely.
and he can single-handedly win them the league, but the reason why he can shirk his defensive responsibilities is because Kante he's literally 2 men.
And because they play... Well, yes, well, that was what they used to say. Do you remember the saying that...
That's right.
It wasn't Claudio Ranieri, but one of his assistants said, hey, we play Danny Drinkwater, and on his left we play Kante, and on his right we play Kante.
Correct.
2 men in the midfield.
And it's not a joke.
He is that good. But also, they've now got Matic in that midfield.
Oh, I know.
And he just pushes to the left and just covers so beautifully for Hazard.
They work really well together.
Oh, it's great.
That's why Fabregas has improved.
You think?
I think so. I think it's just taken that bit of responsibility away from him that was crushing him, and I think that he's allowed to be just a little bit more Fabregas, if you know what I mean.
Just a little bit more.
Just a little bit back to what he used to look like at Arsenal. A little bit more freedom, because I know he's a deeper lying midfielder, but he's supposed to be a roaming deep lying midfielder.
True.
Like a deep playmaker.
Yeah.
He's not there to break up the play or do anything.
There was a gorgeous theory going around there for a little while that with Kante and Matic, they would actually Conte would try to turn Fabregas into Pirlo. If he can get the structure of that team right with another defender that he's got to buy in the transfer market, if he can get that world-class defender in there, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Fabregas moved back into that Pirlo-esque role that could really drive Chelsea
Quite
forward.
possibly, and that concerns me a lot.
Yeah, no, they could be a really good team. But let's move on to the next fixture there. How about Everton versus Stoke? 1-0 there to the Toffees.
Look, it was that game where, for me, my biggest takeaway was that Everton found a way to win the game, even though it was a hard-fought defensive battle. Stoke were much better organised than they have been so far this season. Ronald Koeman has done a great job in rallying his troops and finding a way to win. And I mean, the goal itself, I'm not sure if you saw it, but the goal that it's come off the post, the penalty's come off the post and it's hit Shea
given in the back of the head.
I mean, that's really
the
bad
ultimate
luck.
Falcon goal, basically.
It's really bad luck, isn't it?
Incredibly bad luck.
Really bad luck.
Yeah, but, a goal's
But it's
a
Stoke,
goal.
so
and,
I don't care.
Touche. And it's
If that were Liverpool, I would have been heartbroken.
I know, you would have been so upset. I never would have heard the end of it.
And the fact that it's Everton.
Yeah, it would have been going for freaking months.
Yeah.
Also, it is nice to see Leighton Baines back in a little bit of form.
Absolutely, yeah. He's a great player, and it is good to see him back.
Yeah.
I mean, I obviously have to hate Everton. It's a job.
Yeah, it's genetic. I get it.
But you can't deny Leighton Baines is a bit of a superstar. So
yeah.
No,
He will never make the England squad again, but a very good player.
Correct.
Nonetheless.
That's probably better for Everton that way, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. Well, he's not young anymore. He must be 31, 32 by now.
He's like 108, I think.
Anyway, let's move on to the chat. They're close, 31,
They
108.
get him out of cryo just for the games.
No, that's John Terry. You're getting
John
confused
Terry,
again.
sorry.
Anyway, let's move on to the champions.
Who was
Leicester.
a douchebag.
Yeah, well, I don't think any of us can deny that. Leicester versus Swansea, 2-1 to the Foxes. They for the first time this season, I thought they started to click. I thought Danny Drinkwater had an absolutely phenomenal game.
Yep.
He's starting to look like his old self in there. And Vardy. I called him a one-season wonder last week.
You did.
Yeah, he looked pretty good.
Garfield, your run at the moment, it's not great.
I stand by my ethnic slur. One-season wonder.
You do know though that this is a one-game thing. We don't know how he's going to be the rest of the season. I guess what we were talking about off air previously was that the thing about Vardy, that performance was that he looked like Vardy from last season.
He did. He was
kind of a little
his vibrant
different.
self.
He collected the ball, he held the defender off, and he lashed the ball home past her.
With all that gorgeous pace,
Yeah, pace, power,
Yeah.
good finish, literally everything that we liked about him last season.
And there's probably no better striker if you put him in behind the Premier League
absolutely.
than Vardy.
My question was, though, that if, when his form would inevitably dip, how long would that dip last? And I think the answer is not long. Let's have a look and see how long it goes again.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go on another Van Nistelrooy-esque scoring run, but hey...
11 in a row.
Yeah, well, but I might be wrong. Hey,
You've already been wrong a few times today.
Yeah, well, you can't be right all the time. When you're this good.
You could at least try.
All right, well, smarty pants, let's move on to the next game.
Yep.
Southampton versus Sunderland. 1-1 draw.
Yeah, look, 1-1 draw. What I will say from that, my biggest takeaway is Defoe. We were saying this before, but Defoe, he has this default ability to just score 10 to 13 goals every season.
Yep.
Doesn't matter who he's playing for. Doesn't matter what his service is like.
No.
I mean, this guy could literally be out injured for half the season somehow.
I would love to see if you just stuck him at right back. He'd be a terrible defender, but he'd probably still score 10 to 13.
He could leave. He could go play on loan at Heerenveen in the Netherlands and still get 10 to 13 goals in England.
Yeah.
Somehow, just because that's Jermaine Defoe.
Yeah,
he just finds a way.
Yeah, he'd just fly him in.
So, my goodness, are they going to be leaning on him? My question is, can he take that pressure for the entire season?
Well, who can Moyes buy before the end of this transfer
who wants
window?
to play for Moyes?
This is and who wants to go to Sunderland? I mean, this is
not me.
They're in big trouble.
Yeah,
I'm actually not.
We made
embarrassed.
a lot of fun of Middlesbrough last week, but I got to say, Sunderland is that town where you just wouldn't go if you could avoid it.
Hey, they're bigger than Newcastle now.
Well, are they? Newcastle relegated, and I still think they're bigger than Sunderland.
Sunderland fans, right in.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, oh god. Anyway, Crystal Palace versus Bournemouth, 1-1.
At the start of the match,
yeah,
I felt like Crystal Palace would probably get up, but I'm glad I tipped the draw so I don't look like an idiot. But look, Benteke on Pardew's had to cope with this new lunacy with Wilfried Zaha. I mean, another play. I mean, when we were discussing last week, for listeners, if you don't remember, we were talking about Crystal Palace, and I said, well, they got rid of Yannick Bolasie. I don't know how good a move that was. And Garfield was saying,
you've got Townsend, you've got Wilfried Zaha. Hey, that's two excellent wingers to put in crosses to a big player like Benteke.
So I ask you, what now? And that's a genuine question.
They're in so much trouble.
Will they let him go? Or they say,
they
sorry,
can't
boy,
let him go.
You're
stuck. They cannot let him go.
And then kind of let it go to the end of the season and say, you can leave at the end of the season.
Yeah, but they have to at this stage. Yeah. I mean, it's so late in the transfer window. He's also, remember, he's a Crystal Palace youth product. The fans would be so annoyed if Pardew sold him. Yep. Even if he's pinging for that move, you cannot let Wilfried Zaha leave that team.
Especially when you think that Crystal Palace is another good striker away from being decent.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
I mean, if you look at that front four now, I mean, you've got Cabaye, Zaha, Benteke, Townsend. It's a pretty good looking front four.
It's not bad.
I mean, it's not going to get you Champions League, but it's going to get you top 10 if they all come together.
Absolutely.
With a good defender like Scott Dan.
They could be this season's Southampton. You never know.
They could be. Yeah, they could finish 7th if they go on a good run. They're that kind of team. Bournemouth, though, I'm a little bit concerned about them.
So am I. They just can't hold on to a bloody lead, can they?
No.
And they just can't find the way to win games. I mean, I harp on about this a lot every week, whether we're on air or talking amongst ourselves. You know, the reality is they are getting themselves into positions where they can score goals.
Yeah.
So clearly there's a problem. Although, having said that again, their goalkeeper was amazing.
Yeah.
He's my team of the week goalkeeper. I think that he was outstanding. He saved that penalty from Cabaye, and he had a generally
who have they got in there at the
game.
moment? Is it Buric?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And he was excellent. And I think if you lean on your keeper too much, he's not going to put in that performance week in, week out. You can't stop every goal that comes your way, and they're gonna cop some thrashings if they're not careful. Scott Dan scored that magnificent header.
Fantastic.
Magnificent header, something that anyone would be proud of. I mean, That was an Oliver Bierhoff-esque.
Yeah, that was really just above everyone and boom.
Really was. Stunning header, power, rose high. You know, you do that and you think, well, you've now set yourself up for a good match against a very beatable Palace side.
Yeah.
And you're away from home. This would be a really morale-boosting victory, and you let it slip at the end of the match.
Yeah. Speaking of maybe problems this season, but not from the results on the weekend, Arsenal 3, Watford 1. Is this the turning point?
Sanchez was amazing.
Yeah.
And he bossed that match. That 3-0 was essentially all Sanchez.
Yeah.
Scored the goal, set up Ozil with just a magnificent ball, and really had Arsenal right on the front foot. I mean, you said off air, Walcott had a good game. That's when you know they're having a good match. If he's having a good game as well. So I look at that game, and is it the turning point? No.
Okay, you don't think it's going to turn their season around?
Well, I don't think we can tell if it's going to turn their season around. I think Watford are not playing well.
Okay.
I mean, they were just getting torn to shreds in the first half, and with a rampant Sanchez, that can happen. That's not going to happen week in, week out, so how can I call this the turning point? I think, for me, I need to see Arsenal do this to Tottenham, or do this to Man City at home, or Man United, or one of the people at the top of the table. They need to show me that they can do this against the best, because, you know, Arsenal don't really have trouble putting these teams away, but they have an awful record against that top 4 and 5.
Oh, terrible.
And that's the biggest issue.
I did read a great stat, though, during this week that that's the first time they've been able to put Walcott, Cazorla, Ozil, and Sanchez on the same team together since November of last year. Now, if you can get those 4 on the same team firing, they could potentially beat any team.
I agree.
Potentially, they could beat any team.
But for me, the defense is still brittle.
I think them bringing in Mustafi, though, will help shore them up quite a bit at the back.
Yeah, more than likely. But I want to see it first. That's why I'm not willing to call it yet. I was impressed, and I think that this is signs of life, but I'm not going to say it's the turning point just yet.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so United versus Hull City. 1-0 to the Red Devils.
Well, I've got to say, the resilience of that Hull team needs to be celebrated.
Oh, mate, Curtis Davis.
What
an amazing... How he doesn't get an England call-up when England are calling up Phil Jagielka. I can't understand.
And he got Allardyce calling for John Terry to be brought out of stasis.
It makes no sense. And this guy is having the season of his life.
They've knocked on the Stamford Bridge Hospital door saying in the geriatrics wing, hey, is John Terry available?
Who?
But don't you have Curtis, don't you? Is Curtis available? Curtis Davies? Yes,
No,
he
Curtis.
is.
Yeah.
He's available,
Unbelievable.
actually.
Unbelievable. Again,
Unbelievable.
playing central defence with a midfielder,
With a
Livermore,
midfielder, yeah.
and a ridiculously resolute performance. Fantastic.
Could easily have drawn that match. Could easily have. Like, at 92 minutes, you think it's not going to happen for United.
Yeah.
But that does lead on to Mr. Marcus Rashford. I mean, I need to ask you as a United fan.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have felt good in a number of ways. You were drawing 0-0 against a team you should beat.
Absolutely.
Who is odds on for relegation, who can't keep the run up that they're going.
No.
And have a defence that, apart from Curtis Davies, I mean,
Is a shambles.
They look a shambles, potentially. And you're drawing it 0-0 at 92 minutes, and then Marcus Rashford scores. I mean, talk me through your feeling watching that match.
Well, I mean, this is where I run into problems with this match because, last week I had a massive crack at Rooney.
P.S. Garfield has removed his pants for this. So.
Yeah.
He's that excited.
It's so sweet in here at the moment. It's so pleasant. And Rooney was appalling. He was the weak link in that team. He was dreadful. I mean, I would have subbed him off at half time. Everything he touched just turned to utter garbage.
You wouldn't have even started with him, to be honest.
No, I wouldn't have. But I mean, if he was starting, I would have yanked him at half time. Lovely assist. Still wouldn't have had him on the field. That regardless.
Well,
seeing
you're saying
Rashford,
that because I'm looking at you saying, how about that assist?
Yeah, well, it was. I can't
He got
lie.
into the position and he got the ball there. I mean, that is a contribution. That is a contribution.
It is a contribution, but
good one.
Yeah, but without him, imagine all the other contributions someone like Rashford would make from the start. Someone like Mkhitaryan could make in that number 10 role.
Hypothetically,
sure. That's how I'm talking here. That's the only way I can talk here. Rooney's never going to get dropped. He's going to be 86 and he's still going to be in the starting lineup for that team.
For sure.
It's ridiculous. But that goal from Rashford,
I think he has to die to be removed from that side, honestly. I'm almost not kidding. I feel like something major needs to happen to him to then get phased out. Like if he had maybe not a career-ending injury, but a really major one that put him out for 6 months or 3 months or 4 months, and then Rashford stays in for long enough and keeps banging in goals, then I can see him slowly being put out to pasture. But so anyway, you've seen this goal go in.
I don't want to wish injury on anyone, but please. Anyway,
meanwhile, he's nodding. He's like, I do.
Yeah, I kind of do. Sorry, Rooney. No, that goal, when Rashford scored that goal.
Can someone send this to Rooney, please?
No, please don't.
I want
please
Wayne's
don't.
opinion on this. Someone
don't.
get Wayne on the phone.
He'll be fine.
Susie, I'm pointing at a woman that isn't here and doesn't exist.
Just calm down, Susie. No, seriously, when that goal went in, I just thought, this is the kid. This is the elite level talent. This is England's new bright little thing. I hope that England don't extinguish him like they do with all their other talents.
Harry Kane.
Rooney. Yeah. Think of any good player that England's had for the last 15, 20 years.
Lampard.
Yeah. Gascoigne. Anyone.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just think he's the one to push us forward. He's the one that should be starting the Manchester derby. I know there's a great case to be made for him coming on in the last half an hour and attacking tired defences. But the verve and the excitement that he fills the crowd with, the way that he attacks you, it's all vim and it's just amazing, and he has to start the game. He has to start.
But is he a Mourinho player?
No.
In nature, if you know what I mean?
He definitely isn't a Mourinho type of player. But neither was Cristiano Ronaldo. At Madrid.
I agree, but he couldn't do anything about Cristiano Ronaldo.
No, I agree.
Like, Cristiano Ronaldo is that side, so
but
nothing you can do.
Now you can't do anything about Rashford. He's becoming...
But you can.
But he's going to become that side. He needs to grow into it, granted.
Look, I fully agree with you. For me, my starting lineup doesn't include Rooney. My starting lineup is obviously Rashford and Ibra.
Of course.
Obviously.
Ibra dropping deep with Rashford just overlapping, forget about it.
Forget it.
Those little karate kicks
Martial.
from... Yeah.
Mkhitaryan. I mean, that's a dangerous side. In fact, that side against Man City next week, which we'll be talking about that next week.
Yeah, when we're doing the previews.
Correct. That's a side. That's a United side that would have torn anyone to shreds.
Yeah, that's a Fergie team right there.
Yeah, Rooney is the handicap. Rooney is that handicap, that ace in the hole for every other side that will make us still believe we can keep United scoreless. Because for me, Hull just proved you can do it. If you're resolute enough, you could possibly get away with it.
I'm just going to revisit Rooney just for one last time. I ran on a great footballing website. I guarantee that you all love it if you go to it. It's called football365.com. Great. And someone wrote in there that Rooney has a defensive free role.
Who can sometimes cross and score.
Who can occasionally do other things, that basically uses his football brain to go, there's a hole there, I'll plug it. There's a hole there, I'll plug it. There's a hole there, I'll plug it. Does that give him the right to start? No. But it's a very good way of looking at it.
Yeah, and this is from a United fan. I want to remind everybody, this isn't coming from a Liverpool fan.
No.
You know, I was arguing the case to keep him in, but maybe that's because I want to win against them.
That's right. That's my problem. As soon as you start arguing, no, Rooney's got to be in that team, I know it's done. I know he should be out of there immediately.
Yeah.
Anyway, we should move on to the next fixture. We've spent enough time on United. WA versus Middlesbrough.
Yeah, WBA. Look, that was a really boring match that nearly put me to sleep on the couch watching that. Not much to take away from it, to be honest. I just think what I do take away is more so from the Middlesbrough side of things. They were away from home.
Yeah.
They were against the WBA that really had 2 banks of 4, basically defending with 8, and it was very hard to pierce. But on the flip side, they also didn't lose, and they have the equal best defense in the league right now, Middlesbrough. So that is saying something for them, and I do like what I'm seeing. I would like to have seen them. If they got up in that match, I think that would have shown a
resilience.
Yeah, and also a way to win that would have maybe meant they were destined for even better things. But as it stands, they're still looking very much like a mid-table club, certainly not a relegation candidate.
They feel one playmaker short for me.
Absolutely. They need someone to just be able to cut through
just pull
that.
strings.
Absolutely. They could do with one of Liverpool's 105 midfielders.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get Pereira from United.
Interesting.
The young Brazilian. I know that Karanka's a big fan of his and has asked about his availability on loan.
To be honest, if I was to give anyone to them, it'd probably be Lallana.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
I just think he'd work a really good game there.
He would actually. He'd be amazing for them.
Yeah.
They can have Rooney as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, moving on.
You would give Rooney away to anyone. Literally, anyone who would take him. In fact, if you could pay some Saudi team to kidnap him and take him to whatever.
I'd still let him play.
You could just get in contact with Riyad Mahrez's reps and say, hey, mate.
Or Berbatov's kidnappers. Post office box. Anyway, there's a reference for you. We'll move on to the next one. Manchester City versus West Ham United. 3-1 to the City.
Yeah, 3-1 to the City. I mean, this was a scary match for the league. We saw a little bit of Barcelona happening. And
we saw a little bit of Sterling genius.
Moneybags really made me look like an idiot. He was outstanding.
Now, what you would
I'm not willing to give him player of the match because I think that was David Silva.
Oh, incredible.
But let's face facts. They had 3 or 4 players of the match on that field. I mean, De Bruyne was amazing.
Ridiculously good.
And Silva just bossed the game. He was in everything. He hit that. He nearly smashed that crossbar in half when he hit that. How hard did he hit that ball? And he slipped in Sterling. He was in everything. So I was hugely impressed with David Silva. But, it would be remiss of me to say anything other than Sterling was amazing and did his best rendition of
Iniesta.
Of Andres Iniesta that you're going to see at this early stage in the season. That is frightening.
And you were saying off air as well, and he's making David Silva into his Xavi.
Yes, he is.
And
I think Guardiola's getting that. He's getting that Barcelona feel. And this is not to say that those two are the only good players and that you need to compare everybody to them.
No, of course not.
It's more just a point of reference to say that he's building that sort of team at Manchester City, and that is a scary thought for United fans, for Liverpool
for
fans,
the entire
for
league.
Tottenham fans, for Chelsea fans, because suddenly my firm belief that they would basically die without Aguero like they do every season, that's changed. That has changed after this match. Because West Ham are no mugs.
No,
without Payet,
they were missing Payet. They were missing Lazzini.
But defensively, they're still strong.
They're good.
So I was a little bit shocked to see that sort of result. I thought it'd be a little bit cagier than that. But
okay, I have a question for you.
Let's see if I've got an answer.
If Guardiola wins the Premier League in his first season, does it cement him as not only the best manager in the world right now, but already one of the best who ever lived?
No. Not at all, in fact.
Well, okay. Why?
He hasn't built any side from scratch. He inherited three teams of inherent greatness. He just had to tinker and give them a philosophy. So, no, I'm actually... This is something that gets me into a lot of arguments, but I think it's really clear that he's not. He is amazing. He is excellent. He is outstanding. I'm not taking anything away from his absolute quality.
But you think with the elite level of talent he has available, he should be winning things?
Are you going to seriously even put him in the same sentence as Sir Alex Ferguson?
No, not a chance now.
He built a team.
Yeah.
Literally, they were shite.
Yeah.
There was nothing
they were
doing
dreadful,
with
yeah.
Man United. They
Not
were
only did he
gone.
build a team, he rebuilt an entire youth system.
Everything. And not just a team, he built a football club.
Yeah. A
start
dynasty.
to finish.
Yeah.
Start to finish. Such that they're still living off it.
Yeah,
They're
and they
still
will
living
be
off
for
it.
a very long time.
So, I mean...
Despite what David Moyes tried to do.
Yeah, I look... Wow. Wow. So bitter. So bitter. Like a lemon.
Yeah.
Lemon Garfield.
Sorry, you were saying.
Schweppes new drink, Lemon Garfield.
Try me now.
No, it's just... No, I don't think it cements anything. In fact, I don't think it's even liquid cement yet. It's written down on a piece of paper that maybe he might one day eventually do that, but I want to see him take Liverpool and do something with a team that is just a bunch of misfits and misfiring and literally doesn't have it in them at this stage to win a league unless someone great takes them there. And that impresses me. If you were to tell me that Klopp wins the league, forget this year, maybe next year or the year after or the year after that, sometime in the next 4 to 5 years,
yeah.
I would say that Klopp starts entering that argument because he's done it then with Dortmund and he's done it with Liverpool, meaning it's two different leagues, different sets of players, not even going back to his same players and dragging them all over the world. Literally, that would be a more impressive performance.
That is a fair point, and maybe, well, I kind of agree with you, but maybe you don't. If you don't, hey, go to our website. You can argue with us on there, studsup-football.com, or just go to our Facebook page. Just Studs Up, just search for it. We'll come straight up. Like us, please. We like to be liked.
I do like to be liked.
I also like to be liked.
Especially now that Sunderland hates me.
But Newcastle
and Middlesbrough. Systematically, I'm going to alienate myself from every
Just destroy
side.
the entire northeast for yourself. It'll be fine. Anyway, we better wrap up the podcast for this week. We're not actually going to do a preview of next week's games this week. We're going to wait for next week because obviously it's the international round. So next week's podcast, we're going to have a look at what happened at the end of the transfer window because there's going to be a lot of movement. You know there is.
Action, yeah.
And then we're going to preview the next week's round. So again, I've been Garfield. He's been Simon Says. Thank you so much for joining us.